Couple trying to calm their crying baby down is approached by a flight attendant with an unexpected question. Becoming a mother is the most beautiful experience a woman can have. Giving birth to a new life is indeed like a miracle that reminds all of us how powerful a woman is. Well, that particular moment is a perfect mixture of inspiration, pain, joy, and contentment. But all that pain and negative feelings eliminate when you hear the first cry of your baby. Whitney Poyntz is literally obsessed with her newly born daughter. Like every other mother on earth, she wants to give her kid everything she can. The woman was very excited about this new journey, but was she ready for the troubles this new responsibility was going to present itself with? One day, the woman was flying back home when all of a sudden her little angel began crying. You must be wondering what is so strange about it. Well, crying of the infant was not the strange thing. What was weird was what followed next. When the mother was trying to calm down her daughter, an air hostess appeared out of nowhere and took the baby in her arms. What happened next is the surprising element. Whitney Poyntz is a resident of Calgary, Canada. She had given birth to her first child just 4 months ago. The woman loved traveling, making friends, but most of all she loves her little angel. The woman has a blissful married life that became even more beautiful when she learned that she was pregnant. Though she was happy, it was the first sonogram that evoked a sense of motherhood in her. Whitney and her husband started preparing for their child. They had bought everything from toys to clothes for their new member. No doubt the days of pregnancy were full of pain, hardships, and unannounced troubles, but all of these felt nothing whenever they thought about their to-be born baby. And finally, the day came. Whitney was rushed to the hospital when she realized that her delivery time had come. It was then the woman brought her little angel into this world, and then their life changed, obviously for good. They named their daughter Kennedy. Well, looking after a baby is not an easy task. The couple decided to go on a holiday with their 4-month-old baby. And it was from there the real story began. The family went to Palm Springs, California to spend their holidays. Not to mention the holidays went superbly. The vacation was very special for them, as this was the first time they were spending their holidays with their daughter. They spent a few weeks there and flew back. Well, the journey back to home was not a usual one. Kennedy was sound asleep when they boarded the WestJet flight. It was a holiday season, so the plane was quite crowded. Everyone who laid their eyes on the baby could not help but admire her for her cuteness. They took to their seats and waited for the plane to take off. The silence fell upon the room once everyone got settled, but soon the quietness was going to be disturbed. The cases related to mistreatment in flights are making lots of headlines nowadays. There have been plenty of cases of flight attendants misbehaving with the passengers. For instance, a video showing a flight attendant dragging a wounded passenger came to the light that got the airlines lots of flack. This is not the end. There are many similar cases harming the image of airlines. So was it going to be one of them? Let's find out. Things were going the way they should. The baby was asleep and the rest of the passengers were waiting for their destiny home. The flight attendants were warm and friendly to the passengers. Everything looked normal. However, their perception would soon change. Before that, the mother sensed something weird. There was a flight attendant who had been moving around their seat constantly. The female flight attendant had been looking at the baby from the time the couple set foot onto the plane. Regardless of this point, this flight attendant too was very good by nature. Whitney narrated the incident in a Facebook post. My husband, 4-month-old daughter, and I were traveling home from our holiday on April 19th, Palm Springs to Calgary, flight 1475. Our daughter was asleep when we boarded, so we figured it would be an easy-peasy flight. Man, were we wrong. What happened next? Everything was going well until the captain took to the intercom to make an announcement. It is a usual practice. The captain of the plane connects with the passengers over the intercom. If the captain has to make any announcements, they take help of intercom. However, no one had any idea that this usual practice was going to be followed by an uncomfortable situation. The announcements are loud on the intercom. That is the reason when the announcement came out, the baby who had been sleeping throughout the journey woke up abruptly. Well, the real trouble came when it started crying loudly. The entire space that was once dead got filled with the noise of babies' cries. All the eyes were on them. Sometimes taking a baby along on a flight can prove problematic. What if they start to cry all of a sudden? Not only it troubles the parents, but also causes disturbances to the fellow passengers. This is true that we all love babies, but their constant high-pitched cry gets unbearable sometimes. Whitney tried to calm her daughter down, but she did not stop crying, not even for a second. In fact, the noise rose to an insufferable pitch. No matter how she tried, Kennedy was too terrified to get calm. Her husband, too, tried to quiet the baby, but to no avail. On the other hand, fellow passengers initially tried to ignore it, but the infant was not in the mood to stop crying. Soon the couple had many eyes on them, and some of them looked angry, too. Being a new parent, they could not understand how to deal with this. Kennedy had never cried so frantically before. Whitney wrote in a post that she put on Facebook, "Once the captain came on the intercom, it woke her up, which is obviously no one's fault," she continued. Around 30 minutes later, all hell broke loose. Clearly it was no one's fault, but the question was how were they going to prevent the situation from getting any worse? Only 30 minutes had passed, and there was almost an hour for the flight to land. And here they had found themselves in this sticky situation. They tried to put her back to sleep, but that too went in vain. When all their tricks failed, a figure approached them. In Whitney's words, not sure if it was gas or maybe pressure, but we did not have a happy baby. Unfortunately, those seats aren't made for rocking or trying to put a baby back to sleep. The parents were too busy in calming their daughter down to the person who was coming toward them. Whitney looked up when she realized that someone was standing right above her. It was the same flight attendant who was roaming around their seat a few minutes ago. She bent forward and asked them something. She asked them if it would be okay with them if she took the baby for a little walk down the aisle of the passenger jet. Whitney looked at her husband quizzically. Whitney grew suspicious at first. She revealed later that she was unsure about giving her daughter to the stranger attendant. She said, "First thought in my head was, a stranger wants to walk my screaming child up and down the aisle?" However, the baby was still crying. That was causing much disturbance to the nearby passengers, so having no choice in hand, she gave her baby to the flight attendant. The woman held the baby in her arms and began walking away from them. She turned back. The name of the flight attendant was Ashley. She was walking the kid up and down the aisle, and soon the baby stopped crying. Whitney was surprised by the kind gesture of the attendant. She said, "I was amazed someone wanted to help like that." It was nothing short of a miracle for them. The baby, who had been crying constantly, calmed down instantly after being soothed by the attendant. Whitney was moved by Ashley's act of kindness. She said, "When she was soothing her, it melted my heart. Seeing her smiling and talking to her, it was a beautiful sight to watch." Whitney remarked, "Now it may not seem like a lot, but the experience was amazing. Never would I ever think someone would ever do that. Volunteer to take your screaming child, but she did," she added. Indeed, very few people come forward to help someone voluntarily, and that flight attendant happened to be one of them. This small act of kindness meant the world to Kennedy's parents. They wondered what would have happened had the flight attendant not offered to help. Not only she saved the Poyntz from further embarrassment, but also helped other passengers who were troubled by the noise. Whitney was immensely thankful to the flight attendant. No need to say the new mother was overwhelmed by attendant's altruism. She thanked her endlessly when they reached Canada. The woman did not stop there. She put out a note thanking the woman on WestJet's official Facebook page, along with a picture. The picture featured Ashley holding the baby in her arms. She wrote in the note, "Ashley, I would like to thank you for the over and above customer service, baby whispering that you gave." The woman went on to thank the airline and called them truly the greatest airline. So how the airline responded to the note? The airline saw the post and congratulated Ashley for her act of kindness. Along with that, they also issued an official statement. WestJet's caring crew is one of the reasons we have been named as the most trusted airline in Canada. Ashley is a true representative of the WestJet brand. The note not only received the airline's attention, but also caught many other users' attention. The note reached thousands of people's hearts. Many mothers felt related to the situation. Almost all mothers once in life come across this kind of situation. All of them admired Ashley for her selfless act. She put out the post on April 20th that was liked by 89,000 people. In the time when airlines are facing criticism for its careless and sometimes brutal acts, these kinds of incidents faith. Ashley would not have expected that her deed would earn her so much appreciation, nor would have Whitney expected that her note would get so famous. So how do you feel about this story? Isn't it inspiring? You rarely see people going to this extent to help other people. And when something like this happens, it becomes a great story, just like this one.